Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Okay, Jay Fallon, thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So, three stories I've got to get through very quickly. They're all police stories: Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland. What do you know? What do you know? So, I'll go to the Victorian story first. And, and look, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for the protesters that are in this story who got sprayed with OC spray. However, it just I'm more interested in the fact that this is the kind of attitude that Shane Payton, the man who just resigned, only just resigned, what was it, Sunday evening, as the police commissioner for Victoria. This is the kind of police officer that he was overseeing. And I was reminded by one of the listeners on YouTube actually about some of the fairly tyrannical incidents that occurred while Shane Payton was the police commissioner. One of which I'd spoken about, and this, I think this is one of the most disgusting things ever, was when the young lady was arrested. She'd written a few things on Facebook. This is when the pandemic was going on, and she was a few months pregnant. She was obviously very frustrated with the way things are going. She wrote a few things on Facebook. Police, buffhead, big buffhead police came around to her house fairly late at night, which is the tactic that you only do when you want to either you're going after some fairly hardened criminals or you just want to be a bit of a mongrel and intimidate people. And it was these kind of intimidation tactics that Shane Payton oversaw. But anyway, so it just reminded me of this. So this pepper sprayed activist posed no threat to Victoria police officer, who later said they needed that. So a class action trial over police use of OC spray on climate protests in 2019 mining conference begins in Melbourne. Now, like I said, I don't really have a lot of patience for those protesters anyway. However, police need to do the right thing. You're a police officer, you need to be able to control your temperament, control your temper. Don't do things unlawfully. I'm not saying that this is definitely unlawful, but might have been unwarranted anyway. So they're saying the climate protester was unarmed, posed no threat. Again, I'm not sure if you could say pose no threat. They're out there protesting. When he was hit with excruciatingly painful pepper spray by a Victorian police officer who later remarked they needed that. But a lawyer representing the state in the first class action against Vic Police in relation to alleged excessive use of the cap spray said the protester was part of a group that piled into an area and blocked their attempts to make arrests. The class action trial, I'll go on down here. Police and protesters clashed outside the conference on 30th October with officers using O spray as they attempted to arrest two activists who scaled the Melbourne Exhibition and Convention Centre, the court heard. In her opening remarks, the Fiona Forsyth, KC representing Brown on Monday, argued the use of OC spray was entirely unjustified and unlawful and had left the lead plaintiff with physical and psychological injuries. Now, as someone who has been sprayed, I managed to get sprayed quite a few times when I was in the police, while I was at the academy and while I was out on the job. You just, you get into, anyway, it just happens. Yeah, I don't see how it can be these psychological injuries. I mean, you put yourself in a fairly dangerous situation. If you've got psychological injuries, it's probably because of, things of your own making, to be honest. Anyway, like I said, it's more to the point that it's these kinds of excessive behaviors that kind of mark the reign of former police commissioner Shane Payton. While he was there. You would see numerous accounts of these kinds of things going on while he was there, and it seemed like officers really felt comfortable using excessive force. I know that they've all voted and said, no confidence, whatever, but they didn't mind using excessive force because they knew they had the backing of a police commissioner who, in my opinion, didn't mind if they used excessive force. And there's numerous other cases that you could highlight where excessive force was used in Victoria. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that. Second one, this one here. I don't know what's going on. Police officer to face court on 6 assault charges in Bateman's Bay, New South Wales. So, in short, the senior constable, Brett David Lindsay, pleaded not guilty to 6 counts of assault relating to 2 incidents in October 2023. 4 of the charges stem from allegations he assaulted a woman and 3 girls inside the Bridge Plaza shopping centre in Bateman's Bay. Wow. That's a bit weird. Anyway, so senior constable Brett David Lindsay, 37, pleaded not guilty in Bateman's Bay local court late last year to 6 counts, common assault. On Monday, visiting magistrate Andrew Miller told Bateman's Bay local court the matter would be heard at 2 separate 2-day hearings beginning on September 18 and 25th. 4 of the charges stem from allegations the officer assaulted a woman and 3 girls inside the Bridge Plaza shopping centre in Bateman's Bay while on duty. Prosecutors allege he assaulted 3 girls, 2 aged 13 and 1 aged 17, and a 49-year-old woman. In a separate incident 2 days later, the officer allegedly assaulted 2 17-year-old girls in Bateman's Bay while on duty. That's a little weird. I'd love to see We'll love to see the brief of evidence for this. Both teenagers were arrested at the time, but were released without charge. Oh, rookie error. You can't do that kind of work. You can't go out there and then release them without charge. My goodness. My goodness. Rookie mistake. Constable Lindsay's lawyer, David Kennedy, told the court prosecutors from the Department of Public Prosecutions had been opposed to the matters being heard by the regular local court magistrates. Look, all I'm saying was, saying that it's a bit of a rookie error, taking these women or whatever into custody and then releasing them without charge. All I'm saying is, if you're not sure, you shouldn't be arresting people in the first place. Fine, you might get into a bit of an altercation, a bit of a scuffle or something, a bit of an argument. There might be something heated going on. There might be an incident where it requires your attention. But, mate, if you're not sure, and this is what I think a lot of police officers, the mistake a lot of police officers make. They get all gun ho, and they think, "Yep, I'm just going to go in and arrest." Once you know the person's details and you've confirmed where they live, go out and perform your investigation. Run through your investigation, get the evidence, then come back and you charge the person. But so many times, people like this, like I said, it's a rookie error. You don't go and just yep, you get all angry and frustrated and something's going on. I'm just going to arrest you and then try and get all the charges together, try and get the evidence together. And then, 2 hours down the track, you're like, oh my goodness, I've got no evidence to back up. And you end up with, who knows, an unlawful arrest. What do you know? You end up going to court and being accused of assault. Anyway, so his lawyer told the court prosecutors from the Department of Public Prosecutions had been opposed to the matters being heard by the regular local court magistrate, as they had previously convicted a number of witnesses over charges stemming from the incidents. Up to this point, there's been opposition to matters being heard by certain magistrates. We don't believe that to be an issue, Your Honour. I'm in the court's hands. Prosecution told the court they would not submit an application to have the matters moved to a different court. Mr. Miller said there were issues for the court to deal with and that both parties should notify the court 1 month before the hearing in order for any magistrate with a potential conflict to excuse themselves from the case. Anyway, it's a bit strange. I just thought we've got to talk about these things and shine a light and make sure that we don't allow officers just to fly under the radar and all these jurisdictions just to have officers getting in trouble and not having people talk about it. We need to hold officers and these departments accountable. So the last one I want to talk about, And there's not a lot of evidence, sorry, not a lot of information in this. And this is typical Queensland style. They always say, because we're open and transparent, but they give you very little information in their transparency. So a police officer has been charged, and he came from the Operations Support Command. Interesting. So, 38-year-old male senior constable from the Operations Support Command has been issued a notice to appear in relation to the alleged stealing of goods while off duty. Well, what the heck were you thinking, lad? And if you don't know, a notice to appear is a notice to appear in court. You give someone a notice to appear. You usually have to give them a minimum of 14 days. So you have your notice to appear, you hand that to them. There's your notice to appear in court on this day. The member has been charged with 5 counts of unauthorized dealing with shop goods. I don't. Anyway, they've been suspended from the Queensland Police Service and expected to appear in the Ipswich Magistrates Court on March 7, in keeping with this is what I'm talking about, in keeping with our commitment to high standards of behaviour, transparency and accountability, we have undertaken to inform the public when a member of the service faces serious allegations. This is the thing. They always say this, in keeping with our commitment to high standards. They just never tell you enough information to really dig into it much more than that. So you have to wait for the court case. I just wanted to go through these things, just highlight this is what is still happening. This, I believe, Victoria had these issues. All that stuff went back from all those protests that had gone on a couple of years ago. But I think we're going to see more things coming out of Victoria because of the violence, the excessive violence that was allowed, if not encouraged, in Victoria Police because of Shane Payton's leadership. It wasn't discouraged to be a bit heavy-handed, that's for sure. New South Wales, what kind of training are you giving if someone's going in and arresting people, taking people into custody without the evidence to back it up? You're not completing a proper investigation. What's going on? And QPS, Queensland Police Service, as usual, giving very minimal information because they're open and transparent, as long as they don't tell you anything anyway. Just putting it out there, we need to continue to hold these organisations accountable. I believe the reason why we've got so many issues with police officers making such bad decisions, such poor decisions, is because A, we're getting the wrong people being recruited. It's people who aren't really, just aren't really cut out for the stresses of the job. You have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to slow things down, take in a lot of information, make decisive decisions. With that officer in New South Wales, just listening, just seeing, reading what has happened, how can you say he's been able to make decisive, quick decisions if he's gone ahead and held several people in custody and then released them without charge? That's, like I said, rookie error. That shows a lack of training, a lack of forethought, just a lack of thinking in general. And I think it shows people who quite possibly just aren't cut out for the role. And then you've got in Queensland, a 38-year-old who's involved with stolen goods. Like I said, we've got an issue in all these states, I think, with hiring people who aren't right for the job. But all these states have also been forced into this. Well, they've gotten themselves into it because they've chased a DEI agenda. They've pushed forward for the 50-50, 50% female, 50% male. But in doing so, female police officers are excellent, I think. But in doing so, because they haven't been able to get the numbers up naturally, they've just what they've done is they've lowered the standards, and in doing so, they've allowed people in who shouldn't be in the forces in the first place. So these are some of the issues. Just want to highlight it, make sure that we know what's going on in our law enforcements across the land. My name is Jay Fallon, former police officer with the Queensland Police Service. This is the slippery slope. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to the slippery slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna